What's happening there, Capital Crew? Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into global topics, especially those concerning finance and global insight. Today, we've got a hot topic on our hands, the recent Federal Reserve meeting and the intriguing revelations from the released minutes. I'm your host, Ali, and let's get into this right now. The most recent Federal Reserve meeting, held on October 31st to November 1st, unveiled some interesting insights into the minds of Federal Open Market Committee members. The minutes from the meeting indicated that the Fed officials aren't currently keen on slashing interest rates. And why is that? Well, it seems their primary concern is inflation, which remains above their 2% target. According to the minutes, committee members expressed a cautious stance, emphasizing the need for a restrictive monetary policy until inflation convincingly heads back to the 2% goal. This indicates a hesitancy to introduce rate cuts at the moment. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the commitment to a restrictive policy, the minutes also revealed a belief among members that they can proceed carefully and make decisions based on incoming information and its implications for the economic outlook. It's a delicate balance between maintaining a restrictive policy and navigating through economic uncertainties. Now let's talk about the market sentiment. Wall Street seems to be under the impression that the Fed has concluded its rate hiking cycle. Traders in the Fed funds futures market are even pricing in the likelihood of rate cuts starting in May, anticipating a total of 4.25 percentage point cuts before the end of 2024. Surprisingly, the minutes gave no indication that members even discussed the possibility of lowering rates, a sentiment echoed by Chairman Jerome Powell in his post-meeting news conference. Powell made it clear that the committee isn't currently considering rate cuts at all. The Fed's benchmark funds rate, currently in the range between 5.25% and 5.5%, is the highest it's been in 22 years. This fact alone highlights the Fed's commitment to a more restrictive policy. Moving on to the concerns raised during the meeting, there was a significant discussion about raising Treasury yields, a topic that's been causing unease in the market. The minutes noted that the increase in yields was linked to rising term premiums, reflecting the extra yield investors demanded for holding longer-term securities. Policymakers acknowledged the impact of heavy debt-fueled borrowing by the government and emphasized the importance of monitoring market developments closely. As for economic growth, officials foresee a marked slowdown in the fourth quarter compared to the impressive 4.9% increase in Q3 GDP. The risks to broader economic growth are perceived to be tidal to the downside, while risks to inflation are on the upside. Interestingly, members noted that the current policy, although restrictive, is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation. Public remarks from Fed officials have been divided, with some advocating for a pause to assess the impact of previous rate hikes, while others argue for further increases. Now let's zoom in on inflation. The Fed's key inflation indicator, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, revealed core inflation running at a 3.7% 12-month pace in September. Despite improvements since May, the figure remains well above the Fed's target. Some economists suggest that taming inflation might be challenging, especially with strong wage increases and stubborn components like rent and medical care. Turning our attention to employment, a crucial factor in the inflation equation, the job market remains robust but is showing signs of moderation. Non-farm payrolls increased by 150,000 in October, a slower pace compared to previous months. However, the unemployment rate has climbed to 3.9%, a half percentage point increase that, if sustained, is often associated with recessions. Looking ahead, economic growth after a robust first 3 quarters in 2023 is expected to slow considerably. The Atlanta Fed's GDP Now tracker forecasts a growth rate of 2% in the fourth quarter. In conclusion, the Fed's recent meeting minutes provide us with a nuanced view of the economic landscape. While the focus remains on taming inflation, there's a delicate balance between maintaining a restrictive policy and carefully navigating the uncertainties ahead. Wall Street may be anticipating rate cuts, but the Fed, at least for now, seems to be in no rush to make that move. As we move forward, it's crucial to keep an eye on how economic indicators evolve and how the Fed adapts its policy in response. The road ahead might have twists and turns to it, but one thing is certain: the decisions made by the Federal Reserve will continue to shape the global economic landscape. And that's a wrap for today's Capital Crew episode. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Fed's recent meeting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all things finance and global insights. Until next time, this is Ali signing off. So stay informed and stay curious.